Mr. Chancellor, it is my great pleasure to present to you Dr. Carol Moss Prives, brilliant scientist and a person who is passionate about research and its implications for human well-being. Dr. Moss Prives returns home, quite literally, to accept this honor, which is her third McGill University degree. Originally from Montreal, today she is Da Costa Professor in the Biological Sciences Department at Columbia University in New York. She is internationally recognized for her research on the p53 tumor suppressor gene, often called the guardian of the genome because of the role the protein plays in stopping cell division until damaged DNA can be repaired. Indeed, she's one of a handful of scientists worldwide whose work has demonstrated the crucial roles this protein plays in normal cell growth, as well as in malignancy, particularly the growth of breast cancer cells. Dr. Moss Prives has received myriad awards, including the Rosalind E. Franklin Award for Women in Science, the Paul Janssen Prize in Advanced Biotechnology and Medicine, and the AACR Women in Cancer Research Charlotte Friend Memorial Lectureship Award. We are delighted to recognize Dr. Moss Prives today, who is not only an exceptional scientist, but an inspiration to our students and to women pursuing careers in health sciences research. Monsieur le Chancelier, je vous présente la docteure Carol Moss Prives afin que vous lui décerniez le diplôme de docteur ès sciences honoris causa.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Carol Moss Prives to deliver the convocation address. Dr. Prives.
I want to thank Chancellor Arnold Steinberg, Principal and Vice Chancellor Suzanne Fortier, Governor Emerita Sally McDougall, and Dr. David Eidelman, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, and all the other wonderful distinguished faculty that are sitting up here with me. I also want to add a personal thank you to Dr. Phil Branton, the Gilman Cheney Professor in the Department of Biochemistry. So, fellow graduates, I am thanking you for the great honor of being able to address you at this McGill convocation. It's especially meaningful because, as you've heard, I have trod in your very shoes. I graduated from McGill twice, having received both my B.Sc and my Ph.D. from this great university. Walking around the campus this afternoon before the ceremony brought back such a flood of memories. McGill is both very much the same as it was so many decades ago, and yet it's changed quite a bit. It's really an amazing place. So I want to talk to you about the journey that you have completed, but it's just the beginning of your adult professional lives. And to do that, I want to first impart to you a little bit of what I have learned about how to have a meaningful career and life after you graduate, and perhaps what may lie in store for you in your future lives. But first, I'll give you my story. I went to McGill at a time when young women were expected first and foremost to catch an educated husband, and only second or second-most to prepare for a career of their own. In fact, careers for women were really not that common in that time. I joined a sorority, and if one managed to get engaged during one's college years, one was presented with a lovely white leather Bible with gold embossed lettering. If one did particularly well in school, she was given a piece of paper saying, well, congratulations, but essentially you better get on with the real reason you're here at McGill. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but only a little bit. I should say that the cultural change that characterized the 60s after I graduated changed so much within the space of 5 years that I had graduated, drugs, sex, rock and roll, women's lib, and student revolt seemed to liberate everyone, and it all changed. But there was another revolution those years. They were the golden age of molecular biology, and I consider myself incredibly fortunate to witness and eventually partake in the excitement of the many discoveries of that era, where the secrets of DNA and RNA were being unlocked with dizzying speed. After my B.Sc, I decided to stay in Montreal, as did the vast majority of my co-graduates, and I chose to work with a professor named Judah Quastel, a British scientist of great repute. He had been recruited to McGill to set up an institute. The building for the institute he was given was actually the former mansion of the Morgan family that owned the department store Morgan's, where the Bay now stands on St. Catherine Street. The institute in the Morgan family home was never changed very much from the original setting. It was undeniably a fancy mansion. Although there were lab benches and equipment everywhere, you knew you were working in a living room which still had detailed ceiling moldings and a gigantic fireplace, or in a dining room with a huge set, magnificent chandelier, a large bedroom with a balcony, etc. So when I first met with Dr. Quastel, he asked me what I would like to study. I said, well, I'm interested in cancer, and I'm interested in the brain. Dr. Quastel said, well, take your pick. Cancer is on the second floor, and brain research is on the top floor. The second floor had the large, grand bedroom with beautiful architectural details, fancy light fixtures. The top floor was a warren of small rooms that were probably for the servants. I immediately decided that trudging up 3 floors to a small room where I would probably be all by myself would not be so much fun. So I chose to do cancer research on the second floor. That is the true story of how I became a cancer researcher. Remembering that led to 2 related thoughts that I had when I was recalling that fateful decision. I have been on the faculty of a very active biology department at Columbia for over 30 years, and I've interviewed hundreds of applicants to our programs over the years, both graduate students and MD, PhD students, and so on. What fascinates me is that still to this day, when students are asked what aspect of biological sciences excites them the most, it's exactly the same: cancer and the brain. Fortunately, our department is not an old mansion. It has modern labs, there's elevators, you can get to the upper floors. So students' decisions are rarely, to my knowledge, based on reasons that were as trivial as mine. But the fact is that in the decades since I was a graduate student, these 2 problems, curing cancer and figuring out how our brains work so that we can tackle neurodegenerative disease and mental illness, they have not been solved. They are the big questions that are there for you to tackle. The second thought I had is that sometimes the most irrelevant and silly reason for why you might make a decision can have very, very far-reaching consequences. And sometimes that decision may be the best one you ever made. So perhaps it's not always a good idea to mull over a decision too much, agonize whether it's correct, or lose too much sleep. You cannot know what your future holds, so just go with the flow. It will likely all work out for the best. But you, in the health sciences and related professions, will have to deal with and face other issues that my generation did not even conceive of. As one major example, one that seems to be more and more prevalent in everyone's consciousness nowadays, is climate change and how to deal with it. Most believe that it is real and imminent, and that not all of the consequences can be foreseen. Whether there might be some good consequences, but we know that many of the consequences will be awful. There may be reduced land masses, severe weather patterns, altered and depleted ecosystems, and others. There will be an urgent need to deal with the bad outcomes and to capitalize on the good ones. Then there is the other looming problem that you in the health sciences will face: the changing state of our relationship with microbes. Increasing drug-resistant bacterial infections that could be deadly, emerging and also deadly viruses or parasites that are even now brought to places in the world that never had them before. So you will have to face these very, very serious challenges. That's perhaps the more challenging and difficult side of what lies in your future. But there are incredibly good things that lie ahead as well. You will have access to technologies that I could not even have dreamt of when I was in your shoes. I'll just give you a couple of examples that have only begun to be developed in the last 10 to 15 years that will be the underpinnings of what will be achievable in your lifetimes and beyond. Deep, massive, and affordable sequencing of DNA and RNA will provide the basis for true personalized medicine. That, coupled with technologies such as gene editing, will very likely allow you to actually cure genetic diseases in the unborn. The ability to reprogram cells to become other types of cells is going to cure or manage disease states in children or adults. And tissue engineering, the ability to literally print a new organ or body in 3D, is likely going to provide the third arm of future medicine. You will participate in the development of these technologies at the research level, at the clinical level, and at the therapy level. I do confess to have a little fear for the future world of my grandchildren, but I also know that they will have opportunities that were and still are inconceivable to me. So I'm here to wish you the best possible future for you. My advice is simple: be flexible, persevere. Don't let any setback be your undoing. Keep your mind open and your curiosity intact. That is how it worked for me, and I wish even more and better things for you. You have already had the great fortune of graduating from this wonderful university, and the future is yours to hold in your hands. Thank you.